How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Now, I forgot to go live on Getter, which it is live now. So I'm just waiting for people to start joining. Yeah. I'm not sure if notifications are going out at the moment. So please let me know because I didn't get a notification yesterday when the lads were live. But yeah, so today we've got quite an interesting show for you. We've actually got Citizen Zid on, who's another independent journalist with, she's completely independent, doesn't work for anyone. And she basically goes to events and live streams them, and she's done a lot of on camera reporting quite recently. So we're going to bring her on in just a second. How you doing, everyone? Yeah, perfect. Right. So before I bring her on, I actually want to show you a quick video from herself where her dad was assaulted, and then we'll bring her on and we'll start talking about that, Antifa, and the organizer of the protest. Now, I will give you a very big warning that today's live is going to involve some very, very weird content. Yeah, very weird content. How you doing, Pemps? Het, Eden, London, Dan? Yeah. At least it's not the crab sticks today. Usually it's the comment section filled with crab sticks. So I'm just going to play this video and then we'll bring her on.
I'm not with anyone, I'm not with you guys, I'm not with him. If it wasn't for me, you guys wouldn't have known this protest was even happening in the first place. Huh? You don't have to.
Does it make you feel big shouting at children? Does it make you feel big shouting at children?
Are you a child?
I want the fat one.
Fucking punch.
At least you're trying to keep the peace here. No, it's not. I told him to behave. Dad. Stop.
How you doing, Citizen Sid?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. So I want for everyone who's watching, could you give a quick backstory of what you were there to do that day and kind of why the attack took place?
Yes. So I was just there really recording a few days prior and basically up to that protest. The Norwich anti-fascists on Facebook were basically just randomly attacking me. I only knew through other people that they were attacking me. They didn't tag me in any post or anything like that. So basically the attack started. The man was basically trying to start with my dad anyway. He went behind myself and my dad, and obviously, as you can see the video, he goes around that way and then throws the punch. His defense being that he felt threatened that my dad was going to punch him first. But if that was the case, there was about 5 police behind us that he walked past. So obviously that's not the case. Also, we have body cam footage where he actually grabbed the camera first and then did it.
Yeah.
So not that friend.
Well, we'll show that video in a second because I believe that I've got that ready to go loaded. But I mean, so when I first met you, you were reporting on the student rally that we were doing, right? And from what I noticed, you just went to events and you were live streaming. You know, you weren't really taking a side back then. Even if you had your own beliefs, I didn't notice you taking a side. But this is what happens when you get bigger. As soon as you start getting bigger, the hate then starts getting more intense, right? And
Yeah.
I've noticed people have been calling you a fascist online. And I mean, what's your response to that?
I'm not. I just have my own beliefs. I choose not to get even involved in politics. And someone like the thing is, people are labeling the protesters fascist without even being able to define fascist in the first place. Same with Nazi and bigot as well, as two other words they constantly use. But when you question them, they don't know what the definition is. But because I'd been attacked, so I'm not going to go over to the Antifa side and record because I'd
Yeah.
already been attacked. So because I had to stand with the other protesters, I was instantly labeled as a fascist, no matter what my opinions actually were. Like, no one actually asked me my opinions. I think one person did, actually, and then Patriotic Alternative turned up, and then instantly she turned around and she was like, "Oh, you are a fascist then," just because I was
Yep.
recording.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. Because I was at, I don't know if you've seen the videos. I was at a drag queen story hour protest recently,
Yeah.
and they were calling us all fascists, and they knew who I was from Voice of Wales. And I said, "Well, how am I fascist?" And they pointed towards the PA flag, because Patriotic Alternative believe in white nationalism, which to them is it is fascism, right? Which I'm not too sure on that. I mean, they still couldn't define what it was.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've done a lot of research into the guy who organised this protest as well. Was he the one who threw the punch?
No, he wasn't. They've actually said that the man who threw the punch may not have actually been part of the protest at all, which obviously that they would say that anyway. Of course, they don't want that bad look. But I'm not actually sure who the other man was.
He just completely unprovoked, apart from the camera, maybe.
Yeah.
He just threw the punch.
Yeah, I mean, Correct Not Political, he was also there. And even before I got to the forum, that man was also antagonizing him as well.
Yeah.
But, he's very threatened,
Yeah. Well, what I'll do is I'm going to load up the body cam footage.
Okay.
I think this is it here.
Yeah.
There we go. So let's play this for everyone to watch. Now, I've got to say, right, I am surprised as how quick you managed to get this body cam footage. I mean, so I'm guessing you reported it to the police. Did you
Yeah.
immediately get an interview with them?
Well, my dad did. I think it was about half an hour later. The man actually got arrested and charged whilst he was in the police station, but later on in the evening, the charges were dropped because he said he was feeling threatened and acted in self-defense, were apparently his words. So my dad was going to take it to court, but now obviously he can't.
Well, that's mad. He surely should be able to still press charges, because even if the man felt intimidated, he's got to prove that in a court of law.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, police will side with the Antifa no matter what.
Yeah.
Even though now Antifa are actually complaining now that the police didn't handle it well enough. That they literally got off with everything that they did, and the
Yeah.
police policing the drag queen protesters, not the counter protesters. So I don't know how they can even say that.
Yeah. And I mean, so the recent drag queen story hour protest, the police were just standing around doing nothing, biting their nails, and they weren't facilitating the protest at all. When you've got a protest and counter protest, the police are meant to facilitate it and keep them apart.
Yeah.
Did you find that at this protest, or?
Yeah. All they did in the end was like put little barriers up, one barrier for each side. So there was just like this little walkway for people who were going into the library to take their kids to the drag queen story hour. But the Antifa were just going over their boundaries. Like they were just coming onto our side. But then when a protester went to their side, the police just were like, nope, you have to stay over that side.
Yeah.
Two
Okay.
tiers.
Yeah, it is mad, isn't it, that they're not doing the job they're supposed to do, and they do side with the Antifa lot, because as soon as one of you does anything back in retaliation, they come over to you first and speak to you first,
Yeah.
as if you're the aggressor.
Yeah.
But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a thread here from Felix F. Fernan. Do you want to kind of give the viewers a little bit of a background as to who he is?
Yes, so Felix Fern, I believe, though I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe, because this is how it seems, he's the person who runs Norwich Anti-Fascists Facebook page, the one who originally attacked me in the first place. He was originally female, had surgery to become a male, now dresses as a female baby. Yep. And he likes to obsess over people, then claim that everyone else is losing sleep. Oh, he's also very mentally unstable, is what I gather from his
Most of them
Twitter
are.
and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you'll find that a lot of trans people, as they like to be called, they don't like to be called transgenders anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of them are actually very mentally unstable. I don't know if you've seen my interview with Richie.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and that was quite a heartbreaking story. You know, he's 30 years old, and they want to keep pushing this on younger and younger people. And it seems like this is one of those. It's one of those guys. So, do you want to kind of? So, here's the thread here, and you've sent it to me. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this?
I actually don't know anything about it. I haven't read all of it or anything. I think it was just obsessing, calling me a far-right, fascist Nazi, bigot, homophobe, transphobe, all the names under the sun, apart from what I actually am, which is apolitical and do not care what you do with your life.
Yeah.
But he basically, I think it's like 15 tweets of just me.
Yeah, well, it is, and I think, is it here? Yeah, so this one here. And to be clear, I'd better not see a single person harassing this girl, no matter how much of a Nazi she and her family are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I haven't retweeted it yet, but I will retweet it later and ask how you're a Nazi, and he won't respond because
He'll block you.
Yeah, he will, and he's blocked you, hasn't he? Actually,
Yeah, he blocked me actually before he made that thread. He also
before he
blocked
made
me.
that thread.
Yeah. He blocked me, then made that thread. I cannot see that thread. That was sent to me by someone.
So let me get this straight. He's made an allegation that you and your family are Nazis.
Yep.
He's made 2 threads about you.
Yep.
But
Oh,
he's
more
not
than that. After
What?
my video, saying about how Norwich Anti-Fascist is just calling everyone out and doesn't like other people standing up for themselves, he actually made a very long paragraph about me in a reply, even though he'd blocked me from anti-fascist group. So I
Yeah.
couldn't see that reply. It was just a wasted reply.
Yeah. And I mean, we talk about him as well. And I've actually, before I get into any of these pictures, because I know the viewers are dying to know what this is about, right? And why I've had these pictures downloaded on my phone, which you can blame Sid for that.
Yeah, sorry.
Where is it? Sorry, there's so many bloody things here. I'm trying to find the one where he was talking about right-wing conspiracy theories, calling him a paedophile.
Oh.
Yeah, here we are. So, lol, this starts off with a huge conspiracy theory rant. Thus, I am into anime porn, which is designed to be childlike. This is because I was selling Super Sonico figures, a character who is explicitly designed to look like and is an adult. Yeah. But then, you've done a lot of your own research, and I know you must get nightmares from this.
Yes, I actually did.
So, I'm sorry to bring this up. But
That's okay.
do you want to give us a little... Well... I don't even know where to start with these pictures, right?
Where do I start? So one thing, you can see the hentai dolls, which is anime porn, which is designed to be childlike and incestuous, actually, mostly. He claimed not to own any and that he was selling them, but you can see on the right photo from his Instagram that it is actually his, that one.
And you can tell that's meant to be like a young person.
Yeah. In what world is that adult like? It literally has a child's face. Don't zoom in on that part.
I didn't mean to. Yeah, it's this kind of... So what's the name of the kind of
Hentai.
anime hentai porn?
Yeah.
What did you say it was called though?
Well, I said hentai.
Oh, right. So I'm guessing it's a specific style because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
But this one is meant to be...
I don't know too much about it, believe me. I've avoided that completely.
Yeah. And what about this banner here then as well? Is that to do with it?
Well, yeah, sort of. So as you can see, Felix F. Fern play with us, yet he's insinuating he's, not sex driven, not pedophilic, not anything.
Yeah.
Like it's not the sort of image you sort of want your kids around,
Yeah. And I mean, he actually made a response as well. So let's find that. This one here, right?
That's the one from his sexual assault story.
So where he was sexually assaulted.
Where he was and where he watched his partner sexually assault an underage boy.
Watched.
Yes. I assume it wasn't reported because 2 years ago, and this was like probably between 7 and 17 years ago, I think. And 2 years ago, Addy still was a threat, apparently, according to his Instagram. So
Right.
I assume it wasn't reported to the police.
But this is mad because I think we've heard a lot of stories where, a lot of paedophiles, and this is statistically proven, were abused as a child.
Yeah.
And they get into some weird shit. And I mean, you wonder then why they then go and mutilate their bodies like that.
Yeah. Well, like Richie said, if it's like, if you're a different gender from what you were when you got assaulted, you're not really a victim.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But like this kind of stuff here. So, I am sorry, guys. I did put up a disclaimer before we started the live, but I mean, no one in that, because look, I don't want to say anything that'll get me into trouble, but that does look like that is how I'd imagine it prepubescent to be.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's then going and saying that he's not into any of this, but he's painting them and selling them, which just, in my opinion, makes him as guilty as if they were his. Yeah.
Yeah, his posts are really contradicting himself.
Yeah. I mean, and as you've said, right, 'cause we can just click on his Instagram here. And so you've got him originally female, transitioned into a male, and then you've got him dressing up as a female, which, oh, fuck's sake. Right, well, I need to log in, so I'm not going to do that live, but yeah, so he dresses up as a female. So it's honestly, it is, as you said, completely contradicted himself, right?
Yeah.
So if he's the leader of Norwich anti-fascists, have any of them become aware of his activities on social media, or do they not care?
I would assume not. I'd assume not, because the like a lot of his posts are actually like the actual PG-18 ones. They are actually quite low down. The other ones are him just venting, saying he's suicidal or something like that, and then he just randomly, it's like a bipolar post. So one time he'll be like, "Oh yeah, like I'm really suicidal," and then the next, like not even the next day, he'll be like, "Oh yeah, look what I'm selling right now," sort of thing.
And
he's always begging for money for a wheelchair. It's not actually the wheelchair that he owns. It's not actually from the hospital. It's from a fundraiser.
Right. And so I'm guessing this is one of the posts you're on about here.
Yeah.
Where he's using the fact that he says he's vulnerable, queer, trans, and he's in need of funds to escape dangerous situations and avoid homelessness.
Yeah.
And is this talking about the getting a wheelchair?
No, there's another post that says the wheelchair. It actually shows the photo. It's like a pink sort of wheelchair. But he is always begging for money, it seems, just constantly.
It's funny because people like that are the ones that call us grifters, right?
Yes.
That's ridiculous. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think I've made I've raised 10 grand, but I probably spent twice the amount on doing what we do. And I mean, you probably felt the same when you've been traveling to do to all these events to do journalism, right?
Yeah. Like sometimes it's an actual struggle to get places.
Yeah. I mean, you live in Norwich, so
yeah,
it's quite. I don't know. I got in trouble last time for not knowing my geography. It's quite out of the way, isn't it?
Yeah. Like we're quite close to the coast.
Yeah.
It's almost a 2-hour train to London. Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a fortune as well in London, right? Unless it's on the tube.
Yeah. So it sort of ranges depending on when we actually get it. It will usually range from like £30 to £100.
Yeah.
It sort of ranges from that thing. Just so we usually have to get our tickets early.
And so you've been, doing a lot of live streaming for ages. And have you ever been called a fascist or a Nazi before this protest?
Nope, not since I covered. Well, it actually it started because I covered the Pride Festival, which I think is why people got the hump with me, because there were a group of Christians from Radical Church, which is like I think it might be local. They've got a website. They were preaching about homosexuality being a sin and things like that. So very controversial subjects. And these LGBT kids, they're almost all kids, were demonically screaming at them. But the logic was, because I was filming it, I supported what the Christians were saying. That was their logic.
So they want you to censor yourself as to not offend them, which
Yeah.
actually makes them the fascists.
Yes, exactly. And they completely skipped over the fact I've also covered XR. I've covered a lot of LGBT. I've covered a load of things. I covered TOC the other month, but they completely skip over the fact of what I've reported that they support. Just do the facts that I've covered the things they don't like, and then instantly label her the fascist.
Yeah. And I think I've seen that. That's why I mentioned earlier is that you've been completely impartial when you go to these things. You just live stream them.
Yeah.
And you've done one thing they don't like. Well, you've done a few things now they don't like, and that's covering things that they don't want covered, which immediately makes you the Nazi, makes you the fascist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you've done so. I've seen as well. You've been doing a bit of like handheld mic to camera recording, but it's not something you do a lot, right?
Yeah, I need to do it more. It's just sort of getting the scenes. I haven't really been in a scene where I've been able to at the moment, but I think I'm gonna just sort of push myself to do it now, because obviously I'm gonna be labeled whatever, so I might as well.
Yeah. And before we get into more of Felix's phone as well, I just want to know, because I'm also young. So being young as well, have you had any slack from students or other young people?
Yeah, it's the whole reason actually why I'm homeschooled. So my parents were going to the freedom protests in 2020, 2021, and they were completely bullying it for just that just because my parents were going. Keep in mind, I was in school wearing a mask and everything. I was following the rules. But just because they knew my parents were going, I got the hate for it. I got the backlash. So that's one of the reasons why I'm actually homeschooled now, because they didn't like my relatives not supporting what they did.
How did they find out that your relatives were involved in the freedom movement?
Because they were stalking all of our accounts. They're a bit obsessed.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
I know.
Yeah. So, right. Just trying to see if there's... Oh, yes. I wanted to bring up this now. I told you about it, and it's not really newsworthy, but it's just something I really wanted to bully him about, because he just seems like that. You know that guy that you just want to punch?
Yeah.
I don't want to say I want to punch him or the leftist watching me right now, but I mean, he does have that face, doesn't he? And now, just take a look at this. So these are what terms you can use for him, yeah? Now, as you were saying, he really contradicts himself, doesn't he?
Yes, massively.
Yeah, and as you said, on the one side, he can't be associated. Well, he wants to change his gender to male. On the other side, he wears dresses and then also has female pronouns as well.
Yeah.
So you've got he, him, they, them. You've got prince, princess, handsome, cute, boy. I don't think any of us will be calling him handsome or cute.
Certainly not. I like how he wants to be called boy as well. Boy is usually used as an insult for a grown man.
Yeah, it is. But as we said, he's quite mentally unstable, right?
Yeah.
As you can see from this semi-nude picture here.
I like it as a content warning as well.
Yeah. Oh, I gave one. I gave a Oh, that you mean this? The CW content warning.
Yeah. It's like that's his whole page, but just for that one post, it's a content warning.
Not this where he's got
no, of course not.
Or this here.
Yeah.
And what's this one?
Just him being a girl biting his lip in a sexual provocative way.
That's him.
Yeah. That was one of his profile pictures on Facebook.
Because he's got a double chin there.
Yeah, I know. He's looking up in it.
Yeah. Anyway, right. Anyway, so we've gone through all of that now, and I was just into some questions regarding independent journalism. So, I mean, now you may have seen recently, you've got David Clues, who's been arrested, Tommy Robinson, who keeps getting arrested. You've got Dan and Stan, who have been arrested. I'm trying to get arrested because I want to feel important. Are you worried at all that, you're entering this boundary now where you're getting attacked, you're getting assaulted, and the police aren't doing fuck all? You're being called a fascist, you're being called a Nazi. Aren't you worried that eventually it could lead to you being arrested just for covering an event?
I'm not really worried about it. I'm sort of also rooting it to it to happen, because as I'm still 16 as well, imagine the uproar. It's sort of, And also, like, because everyone else is as well, it's sort of like, yeah, well, maybe that's how you be a true journalist in this day and age. You actually get arrested for doing your job.
Yeah, which is why I'm so upset. People keep getting arrested around me, and I just.
Yeah, all the charges always get dropped anyway, so it's not too big a deal, is it?
No, but it depends on the judge because the court system is so corrupt.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how did you get into it then? So, how did you get into independent journalism?
So obviously with my parents going to all of the protests and everything, we saw journalists like Tyrant Finder, Resistance GB, Immortal Aliens was also there for most of them as well. Actual Coverage was there. I see him in the chat as well. He was going to the protests, and I was getting really inspired by them because like it was just my generation or our generation. They had no idea what was actually going on, but they were quick to judge. So I wanted to sort of show them what was going on. But
Yeah.
now my demographic is mostly 20 and above, and I'm still doing it because I found a passion in it. So
Yeah, well, that's great because we need as many independent journalists as well, and it's great that you're young doing it because
yeah,
by the time you're much older, then you're already going to have that base there.
yeah.
Probably about 38-year-old men. How many joking?
No, I think I've got a load of a few other people actually inspired to do independent journalism as well. They do always ask me questions and everything about it, so I think they're also trying to start it.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly what we need in this godforsaken country. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. See, people here saying it's fucking sick.
yeah,
Wow, I feel you on this one because I've had similar experiences. Yeah, a lot of comments quite shocked at the disgusting pictures there. But what I want to know is, have you heard of this new phrase? So MAP,
yeah. Minor attractive persons, pedophiles.
Yeah. pedophiles, yeah, and they
Yeah.
want the PC term for it now, which is MAP. And
Yeah.
this flag as well. Have you seen it? Have you seen the flag?
Yeah, I look for it in every protest. I haven't
Have you
seen it yet.
You haven't seen it yet.
No.
See, when I've brought this up with LGBTQ nonces, yeah, they've always said to me that that it was a right wing conspiracy theory.
It's not. They're trying. The thing is that they're not in it yet. They're not officially part of LGBTQIA plus, whatever it is now. I'm sure there's another part of the alphabet now added to it, but they're not officially on it yet. But
Yeah.
they are trying their hardest to be.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of people who are part of that community also don't realize is that they are actually trying to be part of it.
And yeah, because I've tried looking for the flag and I can't find it. I haven't seen it yet either. But I
Yeah.
don't think they have the I don't think they have the balls to openly display it just yet.
Yeah. Just wait until they have a massive like group of people who want to.
Yeah.
Then that'll be the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I don't know if you've ever been censored on any social media, have you?
Yes, loads. I've had at least 8 or at least 9 strikes now on YouTube.
Wow. Right.
Yeah.
Which is mad because then you got people like this posting on Instagram and these are all completely fine. I just want to show these all to you again. Yeah.
Just scar you a few more times.
Yeah. Because I'm gonna have PTSD after this one, like, because I spent ages trying to scroll for the Instagram to find the pictures you sent me, and it's just disgusting.
Yeah, I definitely advise not looking at his Instagram if you're easily traumatized by certain images.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just catching up on the messages
Okay.
here to see if there's anything. Map is and will only fucking ever be for when you are lost perverts, whatever that means. Yeah, absolutely. I think MAP originally was pedosexual, wasn't it? Which we were trying to add in 2019, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
It rings a bell.
Yeah. And so I know I don't know, you don't really give your opinion much on things. I mean, I know you've tried to stay neutral. Are we going to see
I'm
more?
stopping that now. I'm going to stop that now because I'm going to be labeled anyway. I might as well actually be labeled for something that I can then easily disprove rather than just label and like, oh, I can't actually do anything about this.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think all of this ties in together, doesn't it? The drag queens, the RSE, the genders. And I want to know your opinion on that as well, because it's not often that we do get young people on the show, which we should do more often. But so, what's your opinion on gender and then pushing that in kids due to RSE?
I don't think that people know themselves before the age of 18, let alone 12. For pushing it on literally like 7-year-olds, 5-year-olds, that's just gonna mess them up, especially confusing them. Like I left school with a lot of people not knowing their 8 times table. And
Yeah,
even high school, most people also didn't. So to just confuse kids a little more like that when they already are struggling with their education in the meantime. Plus, as well, through lockdown, a lot of everyone missed out on their education. And also the fact that teachers are constantly off now. I had to, with my homeschool, I actually had to change a teacher because she wouldn't ever help me.
right.
So teachers have gone downhill. I actually, I also do know of a few cases of the high school I went to where the teachers were nonsense on the kids, which is brilliant.
Yeah,
But yeah, it like to confuse kids so much more, just putting gender identities in it because it's not gender. It's gender and gender identities, which is what people get confused with. Um, and then you don't need more than 70 gender identities anyway.
yeah.
So just it's sort of just messing up the kids just really early.
Well, have you seen that article by I can't remember who it's by, but guess how many guess how many genders the police are allowing you to self-identify as
Oh
when you're
yeah, I
criminal
did
record?
see that article. Too many.
67. Yeah.
But how can you identify as 67? Have they included like other kin like cats, dogs, things
It,
like that?
I don't know, there was plantkin for a while, if you've heard about that.
Oh god.
It's where you identify as a plant.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I mean, a lot of what they say is, they list as genders, right? There are loads of different genders that are actually sexualities, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which is, and I think when I spoke with the LGBT, when I did as well, none of them could answer what the problem was with with putting non-binary down on a criminal legal document.
Yeah.
No one could see any issues with that.
Yeah.
And what I want to know is, right, because when I was in secondary school, we had a lot of transgenders. Yeah, we had about 4 or 5 kids who were trans, who'd actually had surgeries, been on hormone blockers, stuff like that. Did you experience any of that when you were in school? Did you see any other kids who?
I didn't see them, but I do know 3 people my age. I don't know if they've had the surgery or had hormone blockers. I assume 1 or 2 people at least have, I think, just assuming by just looking at them and knowing them before they had anything. But I do know 3 people who now identify as the opposite gender or as non-binary.
Yeah,
Most
that's
of them are actually younger than me as well.
oh, bloody hell! It's getting bad in this country, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, we're meant to be the future as young. We're meant to be the future, and you've got, in 1939, you had people being sent off to war. In this day and age, people need a safe space because words hurt.
Imagine if we all got sent to war. We'd lose instantly.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if you've seen this, but they're now allowing anyone into the police force. Yeah, even if they can't pass the fitness test, they get anxious
Yeah.
talking to people and stuff like that. I mean, what do you think about that?
Stupid. It's ridiculous. We're not gonna have a police force at all. We already don't. We're already struggling to even deal with crimes in the meantime, you know? So if we're just gonna get a load of soy boys on and like people who have massive disorders that they can't control, like we're not gonna have any sort of police force at all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're not, are we? I think that was evident. If you've been on a lot of London marches, I know that. I don't know if you
Yeah.
went on November 5th, but
Yes.
if you notice if you notice when riots are going off, right, the men can't do anything because they're too busy protecting the women officers,
Yeah.
and that's not being rude, but I'm sorry, but if you've got like 50 off odd men, that one woman isn't gonna. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not worth it. Just
Yeah.
do your job. Stop protecting each other and just do your job.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous, and this wokeness as well, of them dancing in pride parades, and that's something you've covered extensively as well.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest thing you've actually seen while being on a pride parade? Because it's a lot of odd things that go on there.
There were a few people that are half naked. I think it's probably not in Norwich that I saw this, but it was actually on a video of a woman peeing in the side of the street, which is probably the weirdest thing I've seen just on a video. But Norwich wasn't too weird. There was one at the Pride Parade with fresh self-harm cuts from literally probably the morning of that
Yeah.
parade.
Yeah.
And they were like all over his stomach, all over his arms, all over his legs. There wasn't an inch that was like normal.
Yeah. Well, you talk about the self harm and stuff like that. Now, that's something that I find is a prevalent culture within the LGBT community. You won't
Yeah.
find that anywhere outside, right?
Yeah.
And so they want to expose kids to that kind of culture where self harm is very prevalent. And as you said, you know, a lot of these people will have neat. They're not angry cuts. They're neat
No.
cuts that go all the way down their arms.
Yeah, just like boredom
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
anything.
They
But
just sit there.
it's really weird how they're all like, "Oh, you can't accept me for who I am," and then they're also saying they go gender fluid or non-binary and things like that. It's like, you don't know who you are. Like, I can't accept you because you can't accept you. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And I mean that you know with I mean you say that as well, right? If they're self harming down their arms, then obviously, as you said, they don't care about themselves.
Exactly. They don't accept themselves. There is something wrong that they don't like about themselves or they don't like about the world. So how are we supposed to accept someone who doesn't even accept themselves as a result?
Yeah, and I think as well, right? I mentioned this at one of the protests recently. You'll find that the suicide rate amongst trans people is so high. Yeah.
Mm.
Now, in your opinion, is that due to bullying um, or not having any rights or whatever, or do you believe there are other reasons as to why the suicide rate is so high?
I think it's more of an internal hate that they have, you know, because especially people my age, we don't care if you come out of the closet. We don't care what you identify as, unless you identify as a bloody cat. Then we will care, and we will bully you for it.
Yeah,
But like, we really don't care. Just like live your life. I think it's more of an internal hatred of, oh, I won't be accepted because, or like people won't like me, or my parents won't like me, or I'm not the son or daughter that they originally had and things like that, or it's such a massive change that they make a big deal out of it, but then they'll go and preach that it's normal.
yeah,
So it's sort of that sort of contradiction as well. It's sort of like, oh yeah, we're normal, but we're also going to fly flags around and make a big deal out of something that we cannot control. So I think it's definitely some sort of internal hatred, because I know most of society really do not care.
yeah. Well, I think a lot of stuff with Pride and the drag queen story hour. Do you reckon that could be actually stirring up homophobia?
Probably. Because none of the protesters are homophobic from what I've seen.
Mm,
But putting that label onto just a small group of people, that's gonna make people probably hate themselves even more, you know? Like, you can't this is why these labels that they're putting onto everyone, really you need to be careful with, because you don't know who you're impacting just walking past. Same with the protesters, you know, but also with the Antifa, who claim to be accepting of minorities and everything like
yeah,
that as well.
yeah. So in Norwich as well, at the Pride or the not Pride, sorry, at the Drag Queen Story Hour protest. Did you? Because we had when I was in Somerset, someone actually came down. Did you have a transgender appear at all to talk out about it, or a gay person or anything like that?
No, no, there's what he, I don't even know what it goes by. Um,
It,
but it's so confusing. It looks exactly like a man, and it is actually a man. It's just sort of a separate persona he has. But he was actually told not to come outside because of the oh so vicious mob of protesters, meaning the fascists. Not the people that are throwing punches or anything. No, no, no. It was the 30 people as compared with the 200.
yeah, yeah,
But the previous week he was supposed to be reading at a library in North Walsham, and because the BBC sort of stirred it up, and the EDP, which is the Eastern Daily Press, which is like our local newspaper, um, they sort of stirred it up to make it seem like this violent mob who were constantly sending death threats and were prepared to knock people out. 15 people turned up, 5 minutes in the library, asking them why they were having a drag queen there in the first place, because obviously it had cancelled. but they still turned up. And then it took 2 hours to just introduce everyone to each other. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't an angry mob or anything like that. And then that's why Antifa turned up, because of BBC stirring up everything, as usual.
Yeah, as usual. Well, that's their job now, isn't it?
Yeah.
They do stir up hate, and then we get accused of stirring up hate. I don't think either of us, journalists, have ever stirred up hate
Nope.
in our lives. But
We
now
would have
that's
retaliated to hate
yeah,
and sort of defended ourselves, but not started it.
yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
So what I'm going to do, I want to bring up a quick video here, and I want you to react to this because this was at one of the protests I went to recently.
Okay.
Just take a look at what Antifa does, because I don't know. Have you got any of the fight footage from? Were there any like group fights, or was it just the attack on your dad?
It was just the
yours?
attack.
Right. I'm going to play this video really quickly, and then we can both react to it.
Okay.
If he touches my flag, I'm going to get him done for it.
Sorry.
I ain't scared anyway. They got to catch me first. Don't catch me. Your attitude to us. I'm a pointy, so they got to use my legs.
Yes,
Wait, why are you touching my flag, man? That's you not allowed to touch our property. Oh, he touched our property, we can get him done. Back off. Hell, get back, cuz. Stop touching it, yeah?
Well, I've got my camera now.
Fucking dick! Fucking scum! Another bit of scum, man!
Can you just kick me? Yeah. Kick me behind. Taking it from behind. You see what she did? I want to let me Anyone who does, and they haven't got to leave fairly sharply.
Fucking dickhead! Fucking scum! Another bit of scum, man!
Fucking get you. Damage. Can you just kick me? Yeah. Kick me.
Sasha!
I want him arrested!
Sasha!
Now, I think it's not as violent as some of them I've seen, but I mean, what's your first opinion on that before we go into more of the analysis? Like,
Yeah, so I think both of them are probably in the wrong. I think instantly from the start, like when they started putting all the signs in the protesters' faces, it's straight away like, just don't do that. Just have some respect. You're both there to protest your views, you know, like just have some respect and just let each other protest, you know? You don't have to get like that. I remember one of the protesters actually did that when someone was giving an interview. And he broke the sign. He ended up breaking their sign. He was like, if you're going to put stuff in someone's faces, it's going to be put out of the face.
Yeah.
And it's very much like that. But also the people around it shouldn't have also jumped in. I think it could have probably fizzled out quite quicker than what it actually did.
yeah. So essentially what happened was the LGBT alphabet people, they started putting up the flags in order to kind of block my view so I couldn't get any of the footage. And then they started trying to pull a sign out of a hand which was in the window. And one of the men there, called Michael Ward, good friend of mine, he put his arm around her to protect her while you had someone trying to pull her bag off her and break her sign, shit like that. And as you know from being at your protest, the police are meant to stand in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't do that at all, which is absolutely disgusting. Which is absolutely disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah, they have to. They always, like, my dad actually corrected them at the Pride because they had rainbows on their faces and things like that, or rainbow badges, and it was like, You guys are supposed to be impartial. If you just got called for a robbery or a bloody murder or something, and you
Yeah.
turn up with rainbow on your face, no one's going to take you seriously for reporting that crime.
Yeah.
So you have to remain impartial at all times, no matter how you think as a police officer. I'm pretty sure that is part of their oath, to remain impartial.
Well, they're meant to remain impartial, and then I don't know if you've seen the images of them taking the knee during BLM.
Yeah. But as soon as you ask them something about the vaccine or something, they're like, "Oh, we don't get involved with politics."
Yeah, we're not allowed to.
Yeah.
Well, it's exactly what happened. I think. Did you see the female officer in that video? So the fight was going on, right? I moved the camera to her, and she's standing there looking at her nails and biting them.
Classic woman moment.
Yeah. I don't want to get my nails ruined.
So are you even allowed, like, as a woman, surely you wouldn't be allowed, like, false nails, if anything. If those were false nails, surely you wouldn't be allowed them in, like, that sort of...
As a police officer,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. If Steve's watching, he can answer that in the comment section, because he was a police officer himself,
Ah, I see.
and
Okay.
we're all hating. Well, especially him. He's hating how woke the police have become since he left. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now BLM, is that something you covered as well?
No, I joined, I think, probably a few months after those protests stopped.
Right. And your parents as well, they seem very kind of awake. Are they the reason you're where you are now? Are you awake because of them, or?
Yeah, my dad woke up when I was about 8, and then we were going to get him sent to an asylum. And then when COVID started, my mum also started to wake as well. And then I was sort of just like, yeah, well, I'm just going to live my life. Like, I'm not going to let someone tell me what to do. I don't even let my parents tell me what to do. So
Yeah. Well, that's exactly the same situation as me. I think my mum woke up when COVID started, but my dad's been awake since the early days. But even then, I hated Trump until he told me to do my fucking research.
yeah.
But as well as that as well, right? Have you seen? So I actually interviewed the owner of Dana Rogoff recently. Have you seen what's been going on around there?
No.
So they've actually banned Mark Drakeford for the tourism tax. So they've got to, as a tourist attraction now, they've got to have bookings in their hotels and stuff like that for I think 182 days a year. Otherwise, they get taxed a large amount. But they can't get anywhere near those bookings, and so they're going to have to pay an extra like 20-30 grand tax a year plus second homes tax and all of that, which doesn't apply to Mark Drakeford himself.
Yeah. No.
Right. Well, really quickly, if anyone's got a question, just let me know in the comment section.
Yeah.
Right. So a quick scot through. There's hundreds of messages here. Sorry.
That's okay.
We didn't put it.
Oh yeah, I do have to say as well, yesterday my mum actually did report Felix to the police for the statement he said about watching his ex-partner assault an underage boy. So hopefully the police do something about that, because if that person is still on the streets, that isn't good.
Yeah.
Even Felix, that could have just been an excuse. I'm not going to victim blame or anything, but it could just be a lie to cover up his own fetish.
Well, but about Felix now.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. He likes claiming he's a victim. Yeah, as we see
Yeah.
from this post here.
Constantly.
So you were telling me he likes he's a bit of a grifter, always asking for money.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, he doesn't start off with I'm homeless. He starts off with I'm a vulnerable queer trans person who's homeless. Yeah. Now queer that means he still doesn't know his gender, right? Or is that sexuality?
I have absolutely no idea. I think from my understanding, queer is just part of, like, he's gay or lesbian or anything. It's like it's just a sexuality.
So
It's
he has
not a
no standards
specific one.
essentially.
I'm not too sure.
So like anything's a goal.
Any hole's a goal. Probably.
Yeah.
Clark, Felix is the man baby in the wheelchair. Yes.
And we've got a question here from Stan as well. Do you think citizen bloggers and journalists should be protected in law?
Yeah, I think they should get just as much sort of protection as BBC and other mainstream do. Because in my opinion, we're doing a better job. Most of us do give an alternative side. And we aren't just in one narrative at all. We do show both sides of the thing, both sides of the coin. And the fact that, like, the BBC stir things all of the time and make scenes and lie about scenes constantly, but then we're telling the truth and we're showing it the truth, and we do because we live stream it as well. That it's very hard to fabricate something on a live stream,
Yeah.
and start drama of any sort on a live stream. So I think independent journalists who aren't owned are probably a lot better than mainstream themselves and probably should get more protection.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not going to happen, but
No. Unfortunately not. It's kind of weighed against you, the entire system.
yeah.
So to all the viewers, where can they find you?
I am on Twitter, YouTube, Odyssey, Getter, Rumble. Basically, if you just put Citizen Sid in search, it should just come up with all
Right.
my socials.
Okay, and what's the next big thing for you as well?
Well, is it the 24th of August, isn't it? The freedom protest in London. Not the freedom
around
protest,
that
the
time,
Unite
yeah.
for Freedom. I'm covering that. And then the 17th of September, I'm going to do the worldwide demonstration.
Oh, it's the 24th today.
Oh, is it? When? Oh, it's Saturday, sorry. Just Saturday. I don't
This
know when
Saturday, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
27th.
I don't know if I can head up to that. It's a long bloody trek from Cardiff. Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'd like to thank you for joining, Sid. And if there's anything as well you'd like to kind of share with the channel, just let me know and I'll get it out for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining. See you soon.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
There we are, guys. So a little bit of a different interview from today. Interviewing another journalist. Yeah, so what I like as well, completely independent for a while, completely impartial, yeah? Just go into event, streaming them so people could, to let the video speak, let the protest and the atmosphere of people speak for itself, yeah? Which is really good journalism. Until then, they started calling her a fascist for doing that, yeah? So it just goes to show, they brand anyone who disagrees with them as a fascist, yeah? Would you be surprised that vowed journalists... Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, Stan. Right, anyway, yeah, thank you all for joining. Friday, who am I interviewing? I tried to get a train driver on, right, for my Friday show on UNN. I've tried to get a train driver on who was willing to debate me online, right? And I tried to get him on to grill him on live. So, he had a chance to reply to everything I'm saying about train drivers at the moment, yeah? And the strike going on. And he wouldn't. He said, no, absolutely not. You're a Brexiteer, wet, blah, 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 right? Which is ridiculous, yeah? So what if I'm a Brexiteer, right? I'm going to grill you all the same, yeah? Thank you, Fabi Heat. James is pink. Thanks, Eden London. You should... Oh, if you haven't seen one of my lives before, definitely check out the interview with Richie. That was where I interviewed a transgender who is now detrans because he regrets it. So definitely go check that out. Old Crabsticks is getting there, isn't he? Oh, come on, guys. It's Comrade Schwitz now, yeah? Comrade Schwitz, because I look like an Auschwitz victim. Look at me, yeah? Auschwitz. Look how skinny I am. Anyway, yeah, thank you all for joining. Yeah, little different show from normal one that I have for you guys. But I will see you in the next one. Cheers.